Dave Baker from the magazine, Kentucky Afield magazine. You've seen him on the show, and you've seen his work. Now, Dave has to look at a lot of pictures that go into the magazine. I'm sure there's sometimes some things that really frustrate him because, as in TV, you got to have the right light. I mean, there's certain things you just have to do. We have to have broadcast quality stuff. You have to have, what's the equivalence of broadcast quality for magazine?
Just magazine quality, high resolution, good sharp photos. And it's a real shame because often people may take the fish of a lifetime or they may take the buck of a lifetime, and they don't have good photos to go along with it. You don't really need to take a lot of big camera equipment out with you. When I go hunting or fishing, this is what I take. It's nice, it fits into my pocket, it's got a cover across the lens so it won't get all gunked up. And with this camera, believe it or not, I've actually taken some magazine quality photos with it.
Now let me ask you a question real quick. As an editor, now most people are just taking a picture to take a picture. What they could do, if we give them a few tips where they can have this thing that looks better for whatever they use it for, scrapbooking, whatever, what are the things that stand out, that bug you the most, that are easily fixed?
When people have a giant fish and they're outside of their trailer holding it up, they're not anywhere near the water, they're not showing anything about the environment where they caught it at. With the deer, we see a lot of times people in the back of the pickup truck. Well, it's so much better if you take a photo of that deer out in the field where you killed it. And we see a lot of bloody carcasses. That's one of the reasons I usually carry a towel with me. And so that way I can clean it off, make it look good that way.
No tongues hanging out?
No, always stuff the tongue back in. And if you have one of these little cameras, you can take a photo there in the field before you field dress it so you don't have to deal with all that mess. And it makes a much better photo having it out in the field. Now, another mistake that I see people doing is when they pose in front of their deer, oftentimes they'll be right in front of it like this. And as you can see, the antler tends to meld into the camouflage. So you're much better being off to the side and having some backdrop or sky behind you so that way you can see exactly how big those antlers are. When someone is taking a picture of a hunter, the hunter's down on the ground and they're holding the camera way up like this. It really generates a really strange angle. So a good rule of thumb is always have your eye and the camera lens at the same level as the hunter. It makes for a much better photo that way. If you have a hat on, it will cover up their eyes. So either ask them to tilt the hat back a little bit, or you can use the flash that's on your camera to fill it in so that way you won't have so many dark areas. Now, a lot of people are making the transition to digital cameras. That's something that I really recommend, and one of the advantages of that is you can get a pretty good memory card so you can take hundreds of photos. And the advantage of that also is you can take a photo and look at the screen and see whether it's a good shot or not. If it's not, go ahead and take several more. You have plenty of photos to burn there. And I advise people take at least 5 shots with the same pose, because a lot of times people will be closing their eyes, or they'll be looking off to the side, or there'll be something funky going on. So if you have the buck of a lifetime or a fish of a lifetime, you want to get the best picture possible.
And even if it's just not the best fish in the world, you may as well make the picture the best it can be.
Right. And another thing I see is people don't stand close enough. With a photograph, you want somebody to fill the frame. You want to see that person's face. You want to see what they're holding. So many times people stand back way too far and you see just a little dot. It's better to get up close to them because it makes for a much better photo. And one final thing I'd also like to say is I see a lot of photos of people, they want to have their gun in the photo with them, and the gun is pointed in a dangerous direction.
Very good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Don't ever do that. Always be mindful of your gun. If you want it in the photo, make sure it's unloaded. Watch where it's pointing.
Very good. I've seen guns pointed at other people, at themselves. We don't even know if the gun's loaded or not. We can't use pictures like that. If you send us a picture, we might want to use it. We might need to use it for the one that didn't get away or for the magazine. If you're going to do this, make sure that you just follow those simple rules. And hey, you can be in Kentucky Afield, the magazine, or on the one that did not get away.
In the magazine, we have something called Your Story, and it's an opportunity for somebody to submit a photo and write a story about a good day afield. We're always looking for those, and it's a great way to showcase some of your photos.
So let's go back. You don't want to hold the antlers up against your camouflage. Hold it off to the side.
Correct.
If you're going to show an animal, don't show it field dressed. Set it up to where we can see that animal in its regal, beautiful state that it was in. Show respect to that animal. Ground level.
ground level. Always make sure your camera lens is the same eye level as the person that you're taking the photo of.
Fill the frame up.
Right. Be mindful of your light. If someone has if someone has their back to the sun, try to get them to drag that deer around so that way they face into the sun. If you cannot avoid that, for example, you've got an 800-pound elk and it's kind of difficult to turn, then go ahead and use the camera's flash to fill it up. I know it sounds kind of strange to use the flash when it's bright daylight outside, but it'll help fill up some of the shadows in the face and make a much better photo.
Sunglasses off, head up. I want to see your face.
Exactly, because the person is just as important as the animal or the fish that they're holding.
You think about how much time you spent in the field. You think about getting there, and you think about the scouting or getting into the fishing boat and getting out there, getting back. You've got this trophy. Why ruin the chance of a lifetime to have a picture to remember it by for the rest of your life by taking a shot that's backlit or it really looks awful? Just take a little bit of time, and hey.
And to be honest with you, having a deer mounted or having a fish mounted is pretty darn expensive.
Yeah.
If you have a photo, you can have less than $1 and have the same kind of memory of a lifetime, and it's a whole lot less expensive.